standards, and when a man decides to his allegiance to a state is more important than to the nation, that was the standard back then. And quite frankly, I now see Robert E. Lee in a newer light than I ever did before. I'd never imagined that there was a United States Navy submarine named after him.
Yeah, I tell you what, my concept is we should build more statues, as a matter of fact, to General Robert E. Lee, because he was a man who was true to his heart, true to where he was from, and heaven knows we need more people to be true to where they're from, called the United States of America, my friend. Great conversation, my friend. You have a great weekend.
Okay, you too.
Thank you. And I tell you what, we're going to be right back after this message. Super duper producer Kevin is playing some good music. We're going to be right back. Callers are going to get to you here on News Talk 640 WFNC.
She don't give a damn for me.
Dave Taylor.
It's good to be king. Yeah. When dogs get wings, can I know good if I still dream time to time?
Now, the Dave Taylor Show continues. You can reach Dave by calling 864-6400, 1-888-308-0640.
And also, star 640 on your cell phone or any sort of communications device that you have. And, of course, it's courtesy of Cumulus and WFNC, meaning that you don't pay a single penny for it. Welcome back, everybody. Get your humble and affable host here, Dr. Dave, your conservative mental physician, broadcasting boldly, confidently, and in full third here, the conservative bright light microphone. And answering your phones is one and only super duper producer Kevin here. So I tell you what, well, that's about it. So we're going to be right back. It'll be a little long the first time around, but we got all kinds of stuff. Got commentary. I promised a couple of weeks ago I'm going to answer for you, and also your calls. So callers, if you would, go ahead and hold on, because I tell you what, you don't want to miss a single minute of this. What a fantastic program we got going on. So much stuff is happening out there, and it's all, of course, leading towards the re-election of President Donald John Trump. We'll talk about that and why that is looking more imminent now than ever. And we're going to talk about all of that and a whole lot more here. News Talk 640 WFNC. You got your super duper producer Kevin at your calls, and Dr. Dave here. We're going to be right back after these messages. News Talk 640 WFNC. We'll be right back.
It's all right. If you live the life you please, well, it's all right. Doing the best you can, well, it's all right. As long as you lend a hand. You can sit around and wait for the phone to ring, waiting for someone to tell you everything. Sit around and wonder what tomorrow will bring. This misery, I wonder. I wonder.
The Dave Taylor Show continues. You can reach Dave by calling 864-6400, 1-888-308-0640.
And also star 640 on your cell phone or any sort of communication device that you have. And that is courtesy of Cumulus and WFNC, meaning that you don't pay a single penny or dime for that. Well, welcome back, everybody. You got your home for your positive, conservative American vitamin, your PCA vitamin. As your parents always said, it is good to take your vitamins. Well, I tell you what, welcome back, and we're going to get into more. My gosh, all sorts of great stuff going on. But, you know, we do have an election here in the All-America City. And we're talking about the early voting. It started Thursday, just a couple of days ago, October 19th at a.m. It goes to the Saturday before the actual election, and that is on November the 7th, I believe. Let me take a look at my cheat sheet here. That's right. Tuesday, November 7th is the actual general election. 2 days prior to that, on that Saturday, 3 days prior to the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You have the early voting ending, which began this Thursday, the October 19th. And, of course, the Fayetteville All-America City Mayor, Nat Robertson, is in the runoff. So you want to go up there and support him on that. So early voting began Thursday, October the 19th at 8, and it goes until the Saturday before the election. Again, and that is coming up. And, of course, the election is November the 7th. So go out there and vote. And let's make sure we get your privilege. Again, and it is a privilege to vote, not a right. Otherwise, it's been the first 10 amendments of the Constitution. But exercise your privilege to cast a vote. Now, I promised I would make you the name available, the fourth soldier killed in that attack in Niger, that's 1G in Africa, back in the early part of October. It is a policy of this host not to mention the names of folks who are not putting America forward, but I will discuss always the names of Americans who are killed in action. And so the fourth person that is part of the team that was here at Fort Bragg is Sergeant LaDavid Johnson. That's, again, Sergeant LaDavid Jackson. You know the others. I mentioned Staff Sergeant Brian Black, Staff Sergeant Jeremiah Johnson, Staff Sergeant Dustin Wright, and the fourth person, as I promised to get to you, is a Sergeant LaDavid Johnson of Florida, where he's from. Now, in the context of that, well, I'll tell you what, before we get into all that, again, I don't go to the calls today because I got all fired up here. But even the phone call to the next of kin the president makes of the downstream media and also the flaming liberal chuckleheads are trying to make an issue out of the phone call to the next of kin. This is unbelievable. It made me almost want to go in and talk about my Dear Mom and Dad letter, which I wrote it 10 years ago. I've only done it 3 times in the air. And I wanted to do that because I was talking about who's responsible if I had met my fate at that time, because the death letter, for those of you who know or don't want to know, is a letter that soldiers, paratroopers, airmen, everybody writes before they go into combat, and they leave it behind in headquarters in case they're killed in action on the way out. It is not to be read or opened unless that actual fate happens place, that they're killed in action. On mine, it was actually anachronistic because I didn't write it before I went to combat. I wrote it after I came back from combat, as if it was in the same state of mind as if I was, writing that before I went into combat. Again, death letter. And so I started to read it because there was some blaming put on the commander-in-chiefs, or others of those who were in charge during combat, but didn't specifically say you're going to die. And so my letter to Mom and Dad, it weighed heavily about myself. I started to, but it would have been a reactionary to read it then. So I'm going to go and wait to the Veterans Day weekend, which happens to be Veterans Day this year. Veterans Day is actually on November the 11th, so it's going to be extraordinary. I'm going to talk more about that and as we go along. But right now, though, I want to go ahead and go to lines. I'll fire it up. And let's go to David. Welcome to the program, my friend.
Hey, Dave. How you doing, man?
I am making with the Lord's help. You're sounding strong. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Dave, I've been thinking about that. How dare that congresswoman in Florida criticize the president to compound the grief of that poor widow.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot about it on Smith's show too. Have you heard about that silly cowboy hat that she wears?
Yes. And that baboon butt red lipstick. I'll point that out too.
How they just won't give Trump a break. They're just going to keep on taking every little criticism. Everything they can to do something against Trump, and certainly our heartfelt condolences out to the families of those 4.
That's right.
Those 4 Green Berets.
From Fort Bragg, right here at Fort Bragg.
Right. It just goes on and on, and I tell you, man, and it's not what I called about. I just called about me. I'm all over the place. I saw where this school was renamed in Jackson, Mississippi for Barack Obama.
Can you believe that?
Did you hear it? Can you believe? I can't, man.
And there's some school somewhere, I believe, was named for his spouse, Michelle LaVaughn Robinson Obama.
Right.
They're just going ape goofy, and someone who did not do America any favors whatsoever, and yet they're naming schools after him. I tell you, that's unbelievable.
Right. And how about Obama? You may have discussed this before, or a couple. I don't know. Everything happened so fast. What about why did Obama get his daughter in there with the Harvey Weinstein group?
Right.
You know, I mean, that's ridiculous, isn't it?
It is more than ridiculous. I mean, this guy is nothing but a total scum.
Right.
I mean, an absolute, total, unrepentant scum.
And the word was in the grapevine for many, many years, right?
And it was ignored, as a matter of fact.
Over a decade, right?
More than he has gone like 13, 14 years, I believe, was the first mention of it. And it was absolutely brushed under the rug. And yet, this is what he was actually doing as far as harming these women. And yet, President Donald John Trump, not president then, makes a comment to some social reporter, and just the comment is viewed as being lifelike. But yet, here's somebody who's actually doing evil things to women, and it's being brushed under the rug. Right.
Dave, who is Georgia playing today? Is it Auburn today?
Well, no, actually today is what we call an open date.
Oh, it's an open date, like NC State's got an open date.
That's right. So now next Saturday, we play Florida. That's the Georgia-Florida game
right.
next Saturday.
That's right. Florida and Georgia.
3:30 on CBS, and after that we play South Carolina, then Auburn, then Kentucky, and Georgia Tech. Right now, as I recall, I believe we're ranked number 4 in the most recent poll, and but Penn State has a tough game today. I forget who they're playing, but so Georgia could actually move up a spot, being idle today. But we play at Auburn, not Auburn, but Florida next Saturday, 3:30 on CBS.
Dave, you know, as a sports fan, I know you are too, just like I am. Can you really believe what's going on at Tennessee football? I don't think it's ever been as low as it is now.
Well, Tennessee has some issues out there, and of course you got the coach up there is not really having a good time. Of course, they lost to South Carolina closely. Of course, he went up there, and Tennessee failed to score, and the Dogs scored 41.
That's right. Tennessee hasn't scored a touchdown, in three games?
It's something like that. But, they and from my perspective, I mean, well, that's tough.
I mean, they just don't have, and these coaches in the package, and it's painful. They need to go ahead and clean the house now. I mean, whether they're going to have to pay these people anyway, right? Well,
the thing with the coaches, even if they get fired right now, Butch, I believe, is his first name.
Yeah, Butch Jones.
Yeah, at Tennessee. That even if he were to get fired today, he's still in contract. So as he's hanging out there, watching this moonset and the sunrise, is that he's still going to get paid. So he's still under contract, and that is guaranteed. So
it's a $14 million package with Butch Jones and his assistants.
Well, Tennessee is big time. I mean, the SEC East. I mean, SEC football is big time. Even if you play it, if you coach Vanderbilt, which, by the way, beat us last year. Of course, we spanked them, this year. But, coaching in the Southeastern Conference at any level, because of the money that's split amongst teams like Alabama and Georgia and, in previous years with Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida. I mean, there's a large package of money that goes with that, coaching anywhere in the Southeastern Conference. And, of course, the Southeastern Conference is number 1 among the Power 5 as far as victory percentage against outside opponents. So
that's right. And today on national TV, Tennessee, Alabama.
Oh yeah, that
could be really ugly. I mean,
it could be, but like I said, it depends on, and because I believe Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken, they changed quarterback again, and Alabama. As a matter of fact, they've got their backup quarterback from Hawaii, who is a potential All-American in waiting. So I mean, Alabama just is a stud farm. I mean, it's almost like watching the thoroughbreds of Kentucky and the horse farms to see Alabama. You had the first stud farm in Alabama with Paul Bear Bryant. Now you've got it with Nick Saban. So just a bunch of studs, and they reload down there. 5-star prospects. I mean, so who's not starting this year will be next year's All-Americans.
I tell you, Alabama could beat San Francisco 49ers.
I think so. As a matter of fact, there used to be years back where the Super Bowl champion played the college All-Stars, and it was somewhat competitive, but I believe Alabama, as a team, they could be competitive, and they'd be more competitive than the Cleveland Browns. I know that, et cetera. So
well, the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they've had such a chance to. They passed on so many good good quarterbacks, and the latest, of course, the Clemson ex-Clemson quarterback who's lighting up the NFL at Houston.
Yeah, that's right, Deshaun Watson.
He's an excellent quarterback. I mean, how could you pass on a guy with that talent?
Well, that's why they're the Cleveland Browns, my friend. I mean, that reputation of being sorry is well deserved.
and I hate to be ignorant on the